Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Hive, everybody. Today we have a really cool show. He was a 1985 United States Speedway champion. He was really good, and he was a legend. His name is Crazy Alan Christian. Alan was born February 22nd, 1956 in Northern California. And he was a Northern California rider, and he just had this love for motorcycles. And he won his first main event at the age of 15 in Northern Cal. At first, Alan was just a Northern California rider. He rode all the time in Northern California, and he became the Northern California champion a few times, maybe several times. Alan Crazy Christian was dominating the Northern California Speedway scene. He was racing the Northern California scene and primarily in the 1970s, and he realized in order to become a better rider, which he already was a good rider, he must move down south and race against the good riders in Southern California. So Alan Crazy Christian, he packed his bags up north and moved down south. The record that I always remember most about Alan Crazy Christian is he won 13 consecutive scratch main events at the Costa Mesa Speedway in the early 1980s. He won 13 consecutive times scratch main events. That's total domination. Alan was definitely the #1 king of the scratch main event winners at Costa Mesa that year. I think he didn't lose any. He was just an amazing rider. 1980 was definitely a good year for Alan Christian. He won the California State Championship that year, and that was the same year he won those 13 consecutive scratch main events at Costa Mesa. Alan Crazy Christian had a crazy good 1980. He raced against everybody, and he raced against me also. I had a couple races against Alan. He's a good rider, but his main arch rival was the master Mike Bass. Mike Bass and Alan Christian had some crazy rivalries.
Run.
Those rivalries between Mike Bass and Alan Christian were just so crazy. They're just unbelievable. And Scott Delosio, he said something about that rivalry. Let me read this to you right now. This is what Scott had to say. I have been so fortunate to have been around motorsports from the day I was born and worked it my entire life, in adulthood that is. I have seen some of the great rivalries, but none of them was as fierce as Mike Bass and Alan Christian. The two great guys with an intense desire to win that always put them on a collision course with each other. I have always said that the restrooms were empty and there was nobody in the concession line when these two raced against each other. If you were fortunate enough to be around it, consider yourself lucky. I know I do. Here they are just a few feet away as they inspect the starting gates before the United States Nationals at the Costa Mesa Speedway. They both had such intense rivalries and they had classic races. Those two riders, Mike Bass and Alan Crazy Christian, were just two unbelievable riders. One time, while I was a young speedway rider, I had a chance to race against Alan Crazy Christian in a main event, a handicap main event. I was on the low yardage line, and Alan Crazy Christian was a little further back. He was a good rider. And the race went up, and I just went for it, and I felt Alan Crazy Christian breathing down on me. He passed all the guys. He was riding me hard. Alan Crazy Christian was a good pole rider. I was a pole rider. He was pushing me. But I held Alan Christian off for that main event win. But Alan Christian was a hardcore rider, and he would push people off the pole. He thought he would push me off the pole, but it did not happen. 1980 was a really good year for Alan Christian, and his crowning year, of course it would be his crowning year, was in 1985. Why? Because he was a United States Speedway champion. He won the 1985 United States Speedway Championship at the Costa Mesa Speedway. Alan also won the Orange County Fair Derby one year. He was the Fair Derby champion. The Fair Derby is when they have the Orange County Fair in July. They have a big race. It's full of people. It's a really exciting night of racing. And Alan Crazy Christian won that event that one night. He got to put on that Sonny Nutter bronze hat, but he didn't put it on. He got to carry the trophy home. Alan is what you'd really consider an Iron Man of Speedway. He was racing Speedway a long time. He's a really quiet guy too. He raced almost 30 years of Speedway. I would consider that an Iron Man. And he was good for all 30 years. He was racing at a top level in D1, and he was winning main events for 30 years. Towards the end of Alan Christian's career, he was involved with the metal fabrication. He had his own business. He didn't have a Speedway bike, but Jim the Animal Fishbeck stepped up and he said he wanted to help Alan Christian because Alan Christian is a good guy. This is something that Jim Fishbeck had to say about Crazy Alan. When Alan was at the end of his racing career, he had no bike and he was busy working his business. I wanted to still be involved in Speedway and ask him if he wanted to ride my bike. And all he had to do was show up to the races and he would race. He was one of the most quiet guys you would ever meet. For someone so aggressive on the track, he was so quiet off the track. He never had anything bad to say and was continually, he had a smile on his face. He knew how to win, and every rider knew how tough he was riding that pole. You may hold Alan off for a couple laps, but with constant pressure, and he was hard not to slip past you and take that lead. He was good, and he just continually did the same thing over and over again for all those years, and he would win a lot of races. That year, Alan won a lot of races, and he would stay in the pits at the end of every night, and then he would sign autographs for the kids and everybody until they were all gone. Alan had a lot of fans, a lot of you liked Alan Christian. He was just unbelievable, and he'd always smile and laugh for the fans. He had this great karma, this great character. Alan Christian was just an amazingly good guy. And that year, that same year that Jim Fishbeck sponsored him, he finished second place in the Nationals after 3 restarts. I think it was Mike Faria that won that particular national championship that year. But they had 3 restarts. They were crashing into each other. They were restarting the race. And he got second place. At the end of the night, although disappointed, he would just say, "That was a good night," and he would smile. And then the last story that Jim Fishbeck had to say about Alan Christian that night, that he got second place. He almost won that national championship his last year. He said the funny thing is, after his winning his first heat race, Alan Christian came back to the pits and said that the rear tire seemed a little out of balance. And Fishbeck, he pulled out the gauge and he checked the tire pressure. And he said it was like 45 pounds. Hey! And Alan Christian laughed and he said, "Try 6 pounds at Costa Mesa." Before every race, Alan would ask, "What's the pressure?" And Fishbeck always told Alan, "I think 6 pounds." I could see a smile when he would turn around after bump starting the bike. Alan was just a pleasure to be around. Riding my bike was really a pleasure and an honor for Alan Christian to ride his bike. Alan Christian was just a good guy. There was another racer. I raced against him. He was kind of a big dude, and he was nice. He lived in Orange. His name was Kenny Best. Kenny was a good rider. We really didn't get to know each other very well. I think he didn't like me much, but Kenny wrote this about Alan Christian. He said that these two hated to lose, Mike Bass and Alan Christian. They just were winners. And Alan had the best license plate ever. It was love with a number 2 and win. Love to win. That's Alan Crazy Christian. Woo! Alan Christian, he had a son named Richard. And I had a pleasure to race a couple times with Richard in 2006 at the Industry Hills in Industry, California. And Richard, his name is Richard, he was a good rider. He was a good D2 rider. I had a chance to ride with him a couple times and race him. He was pretty good. I thought he had some ability. But of course, nothing like his papa. Alan Christian was just unbelievable. If you follow in Alan Christian's footsteps, good luck. That's all I can say. I couldn't follow in Alan Christian's footsteps. There's no way. But anyways, Richard was his son, and he was a nice, pretty good rider. He had a little bit of that ability from his papa, but not quite as much, not even close. But he had this really cool crash, and he just was riding this bike over the finish line at Industry Hills, and he lost his bike right before the finish line. I think it was like second place in the main event. And his bike took off straight up and down, all the way down the straightaway, and it crashed right into the wall. In the year 2000, Alan raced back east in a GP. I forgot the state it was, but it was a GP racing. It's like a 450 Honda, and I'm sure he did really well. Any motorcycle that Alan Crazy Christian rides, he's a good rider. He could ride anything. I bet there's not a motorcycle on the earth that Alan Christian can't ride. Alan Crazy Christian, just an unbelievable rider. He was a dominant force for like 30 years. That's pretty good. And he's a kind and gentle soul, soft-spoken, smiles, just a good guy. And Alan Christian, when he gets on the track, he thinks of only 3 things. And that's win, win, win.
Shall we begin?